Hi everybody, welcome to the Sanctum. This is Ale, and today we're going to go through The Dreams of Gaia Tarot by Ravynne Phelan. It's by Blue Angel Publishing. So this is the book, by the way. It's actually decent size. It's huge, actually. And this is the tarot. I'm going to bring out the deck. So this deck is unique, by the way. There are 81 cards in this deck. The book itself is like over 300 pages. And this deck I have wanted, I will tell you, for a short time. And it's gold gilt, as you can see. And I'm going to showcase you some of the cards here. And this is the back. It's actually a really pretty back. And let's see if I can showcase a little bit better the cards here a little bit for you. So we'll move this up a little bit. There you go. And we have the Father. We have the Scribe of Water. The Zero card, which is choice. Because everybody has a choice. Even if you make no choice, it's a choice. Which is an interesting card in itself. The Eight of Water. Three of Water. The Mother. Nine of Water. Six of Earth. Seven of Earth. The Maiden. The Emotional or Intellect, which is of water, if I remember correctly. The Ten of Water. Knowledge, which is of Earth. I believe that's how that one works as well. Two, Youth. The Four of Air. And there's a couple of other cards I wanted to show you. I'm trying to find them specifically because they are amazing. Oh yeah, Five of Fire. The Four of Fire, which is, I love it. The Hero of Fire. The Masculine and Feminine Fire. Which is like, wow. The Ten. Where is it? This is the Counselor. There's the Queen of Water. All the aces, by the way, are dragons. So I can just tell you right now, I was like, yeah, I want this deck. This one reminds me of Loki. So I was just kind of like, yeah, okay. So I really need this deck. I'm good to go with it. Now the twos in this deck are probably the most outstanding feature, which really called out to me and actually were the reasons why I bought the deck. That's the Two of Fire. That's the King of Water. And there's the King of Fire. The Queen of Fire that has Goose from Captain Marvel. I'm so freaking excited. No, it's not really, but I just roll with me on this one. I'm a big Marvel fan, and you probably will end up with a video or two on this channel that deal with Marvel, and you're just gonna have to roll with it. And if you don't like it, tough. Yeah. This is one of the air cards, which I love the duality feature of it. This is the Two of Air, and look at that pure duality. I I love it. The air dragon. I'm telling you, the dragons alone were the reason just to get it and go, hi, you're mine. Thank you. Goodbye. This is the 2 of Earth. And look at the true symmetry of this card. I mean, it is pure, down the line, poof, symmetry. I was like, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. I don't care how they did it. It's all mine. The King of Earth. So the thing about this deck, and I wanted to talk about this deck because, like I said, this deck is 81 cards, and I'm going to read it straight from the book itself. Is this book has a philosophy, is to seek, feel, grow, and heal. So these are all about those who desire unity within themselves, the relationships within heaven and the earth. It is a keener understanding of self and communing with the spirit realms and the divine. So these decks, the deck itself is about learning more about you, your place within the realms of earth and the spiritual, are those of the Asatru, the upper and lower realms, the like Midgard and Asgard, and the lower realms of the lower branches of Isidru. They break this deck structure into 14 cards of the minor arcana and 25 major arcana cards. So you have the choice card, which is the one I showed you at first, which is the single most important card of their deck, as they point out. It is the premise of the dreams of Gaia Tarot, is that everything comes back to choice. All that we are and all that we become is governed by choices that we and those around us make, and how they in turn create and influence our reality. The 24 arcana are made up of the following groups of 8. Stages of life, which are the child, maiden, youth, mother, father, crone, sage, and death and rebirth. Reasons for being, which is knowledge, wisdom, healing, love, union, self, abundance, and destiny. Influences, these are things that we experience, whether it be now, and our reasons that we can do and influence our ability. So those are journey, thought, emotions, desire, perception, the way we perceive our reality, intuition, integrity, and faith. And there's keywords on all of the cards that just give you an idea of what to look for, what to look at, until you get to the minor arcana. Now, the minor are all about earth, air, fire, and water, dealing with the elements. And they're all numbered ace through 10 with 1 alignment or balancing card and then 3 court cards. So you have the traditional king and queen. Then there's a figure that stands besides the throne. For earth, it is the seneschal. The keys of the keeper of the kingdom. The scribe, the keeper of knowledge, with information, law, and tradition, stands besides the king and queen of air. The hero, the champion, warrior, and protector, stands besides the king and queen of fire, while the emotionally wise and empathetic counselor gives guidance to the queen and king of water. So they're very specific. So the earth is about family, home, and career. Air is about the mind, the thoughts, beliefs, ideas, imagination, and reality. Fire is about action and addresses the physical acts of being and doing. Water is all about the realm of emotions and addresses subjects of feelings, reactions, and behavior. And they actually have a couple of different spreads in here. They have your 1 card spread called the guide spread, and then they have one called the union spread, which is actually quite interesting. And then they get into these really interesting spreads called the dreamer spread and then the dreaming tree spread. And these spreads are quite interesting in the way that they're set up and what they do. So I really love the way they do it. And now the cards are not in color in the book, but they're very interesting the way they're set up. It's about the keyword, their key phrase, and the meaning of the card itself. And you know, they talk about the now and the future and the potential blockage. So instead of being reversed, it's a potential blockage, which I actually like that meaning better than the word reversed, because reverse you would think would be completely opposite, and it's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it's a, hey, look out, or else this is going to be the possibility. So I've played with these cards for about 2 weeks now. I've had a couple of friends look at the deck, and they've fallen in love. So I'm moving this out of the way, and we're going to do a reading like we always do. I know you guys are so impressed about the fact that we're doing a reading. I know it's all good. This deck is going to be incorporated into my pick a card readings as well as my private readings. So those of you who want a private reading, let me know if you want me to use this deck. Now, just to let you know, these cards are thinner than some of the other Blue Angel cards, so they bend a little bit easier, so they're great for riffle shuffling. But they're sturdy, so it's weird. They're thinner, but they shuffle like a bomb. I love it. So those of you who really love riffle shuffling, which I'm going to be honest with you, this deck has been at my work with me and has been my calming deck on really tough calls. I have been shuffling this deck and my Lenormand deck and my Simple Tarot deck. Oh my god, my Simple Tarot deck is my go-to shuffle deck all day long. I'll do nothing but shuffle. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Don't care. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Don't care. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Things go bad. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Deal out 3 or 4 cards. Look at them. Yeah. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. It's like, okay, I need to calm down more. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Which is actually kind of a good thing. I realize that it is a sense of me feeling calm. Yes, I'm opening another soda. We finally found out why I have been feeling so crappy. Over the past week and a half with the migraine. I started off with the migraine, didn't realize I had a sinus infection, and it's all the way in my sinuses. It is not just a regular sinus infection, it's a sinus impaction. So I have to go see a specialist because I'm awesome like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a generalized reading for today, just dealing with what we need to know about ourselves. Basic thing of what do we need to know about ourselves that we haven't known yet. Things that we need to know about, and what do we need to work on. Okay, so what do we need to know about and need to work on? So you're probably wondering, why the heck is we showing 2 cards up, 1 card on top, and 2 cards down? There's a reason for it. It is a different spread that I don't do often, at least not on here, but I do for personal spreads. What it is, it's the type of spread that this is specifically geared for self-use, self-talk. If you saw my video dealing with shadow work, you saw a similar one like this dealing with the pyramid self. This one is basically we're going into the middle, but what we're doing is we're going from side to side in regards to this. So we have love and protection mode, and we have earth in protection. So we're going to look at both. Now remember, these are things that we just need to know about ourselves, that we need to be aware of. What do we need to know that we haven't been, that we need to be aware of and such. So it says, one of the most difficult things to do is remove a person from your heart. To let go of love when it no longer serves us is sometimes easier said than done, but there comes a time when it is necessary to release the dreams and fantasies about what was and accept the reality of what is. If a relationship is over, yet you still hold on to what is not meant to be, you risk closing yourself off to new relationships. The right one may be there in front of you, but you can't see it because your heart and head are full of thoughts of the wrong one. When the love card appears reversed, it may be suggesting that it is time to say goodbye, but it may be also a suggestion of saying goodbye to the negative speak that goes on in your mind. Say goodbye to that voice. Tell it to hush. Tell it that you are breaking up with it, that you are no longer listening to negative self-love talk. Well, there may be times when your voice is a conscious guiding you. If the love card appears reversed, it signifies that in these circumstances, it's a petty little voice that needs to be ignored because it is merely fear preventing you from doing what you know will make you happy. Now, that's why we're having a lot more of these cards in the way, in the spots that they are. And the reason is because a lot of times when I do readings, and a lot of other readings here on YouTube, talk about love and soulmates, twin flames, heartmates, things of this nature. And we talk a lot about finding, how do you know if it's the right one for you? Do you need to break up with this person? Things of this nature. Now, sometimes it's yourself that you need to take care of. And we have a lot of negative self-talk that we don't deal with. And this is the thing that we are speaking to, because sometimes, yeah, we hold on to the wrong relationships for way too long. But then we get to a point where it's like, you kind of sit there and go, well, what the heck is going on? And why am I, why do I always feel like I'm letting myself down? Why am I always, why do I feel always like I'm letting, others down? Well, you're not. A lot of times it's not others that you're letting down. It's yourself, because it's that negative voice that goes, well, if you would only do this, you would be so much better. You know how that goes. Oh, you would be pretty if you only would lose some weight. Or, oh my God, if you would only do this, you could get a great job. You know that voice. That voice inside you, deep inside, that tells you you'll never get somebody because you're not good enough. The voice that says to you, the reason why you don't get a great job is because you're not skilled enough. You don't have enough knowledge. You don't have enough training. You don't have enough schooling. Don't listen to that nonsense. Yes, you may need some more schooling, but you know what? You don't need tons of it. There are other ways to get about schooling and knowledge to move ahead in the world. So don't listen to that self-voice that's negative. There are other people out there that'll tell you enough negative shit. You don't need your self-voice to be telling you that nonsense. Because one, it's not true. And two, I'm going to be totally dead honest from you. That negative self-talk voice, learned it from somebody who said it to you over and over again. It's not your voice that you're hearing. It's somebody that you either grew up with, somebody who took care of you, or somebody you looked up to. Those three things are the voices that you're actually hearing. So ask yourself, whose voice are you actually hearing when you hear those? Now for me, I'm going to be totally honest with you. It comes as my dad's voice most of the time, occasionally my mom's voice. But my dad is my number one offender. And I have to literally stop and say enough. Oh, because it sounds like my voice. Trust me. But it's not. It's the voice I grew up hearing all that nonsense. So you have to ask yourself, whose voice in your past growing up over years did you hear that from? Was it a teacher? Was it a family member? Was it a best friend? Those are the people's voice you have to sit there and put away. Now we're going to talk about the Four of Earth and how it relates. It's about monotony. Monotony and tedium often still a rush, a need to rush, a desire to rush. Because we want to do something new. We want to get to something else, and it results in errors and prevent you from completing a task or resolving an issue that you have before you. You may find yourself free of boredom and impatience only to feel a weightier burden of guilt and regret. Whether it be a matter that affects home or hearth, or one that affects your career, do not allow impatience or frustration to cloud your judgment and lead to hasty decisions. The shadow of Four of Earth cautions you against embracing a belief that greener pastures are waiting for you if you choose to walk away. In this circumstance, they are not. So we know the Four of Earth, Four of Pentacles is what this is, would be a time to rest and recharge ourselves. So when it comes to earth is all about recharging our nature, recharging ourselves. So in this protection mode, it's telling us, hey, look, a lot of times when we're in a resting mode, we get bored. And I'll be honest with you, a bored ale is a bad ale. Bored AL is a bad thing. Recently online, for those of you who are on Twitter with me or have seen me on Twitter, I have recently been part of getting a member off of a shadow ban. Twitter says there's no shadow ban. They lie. It's a known fact that it happens. I got so frustrated, I had to contact a legal member to do me a favor, because we were going on day 3, and I had it up to my eyeballs in being pissed off. I have X amount of patience, and my X amount of patience had gone out the window, and I was like, you know what? And I warned my good friend Peggy, I'm over it. I'm going to call this person, and I'm going to ask them if they can make a phone call for me, because if I make the phone call, it probably will not turn out well. And I'm glad I did, because they told me straight out, do not make that phone call. No, because you will not be polite about it. And I was like, possibly. But I'm glad that I didn't, because as of today, they're off the shadow ban. Of course, they aren't acknowledging that they removed it. But I am glad that I actually asked them to call, because had I rushed and did it myself, I could have made it worse. And it goes back to this part, the self-love. They're a good friend, and I hate seeing my friends hurt. I hate seeing them get frustrated and want to quit, want to get so frustrated and get so hurt and angry and feel like they're stuck in a loop, which they were. And there were so many people who were there trying to help, which was absolutely phenomenal to see. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. I cannot state enough how beautiful it was to see this. But I can tell you from personal experience, Four of Pentacles in reverse. Take a step back, think it through. Realize that if you push too fast, too far, you may do something you will regret highly. Do I regret calling my legal friend? No. Because otherwise I would have done it myself, and I would have regretted that highly. So calling my legal friend was actually the best mode I could have done, because they knew better than I do, and having dealt with the bureaucracy of what is to deal with it. So I'm glad. So we're going to turn over these cards. And these are things that we're looking at as being future outcomes. This is what is. These are currently things that are currently bothering us. This is currently our solution. This is what we're working to. And these are things that are possibly on the front line coming to be a problem, or possibly coming to be a help. I kind of always look at it as possible helps in this nature. Also, occasionally they could actually be a stumbling block if you're not used to this kind of help coming to you. And the reason why it can be a stumbling block, if you're not used to asking for help, if you're not used to getting help from outside sources, yeah, it can be an issue. So when you're looking at stuff like this, like the Queen of Fire, which I'll be honest with you, as well as the Seven of Fire in reverse, in protection mode, you're looking at most people will tell you fire is, since it's an action item, it is all about movement and action and go, 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 go. So remember, Queen of Fires, all queens are all about, they're all about being focused. These are the court cards of you now. These are the people you want to emulate. These are the people who you would go to in a heartbeat for help, because you know that they would be the most helpful person for you. So the Queen of Fire is someone who is very primal. They are strong and powerful. They're not afraid to go after what they want. They are focused and determined, optimistic. They're also very independent by nature. They are a natural leader, not necessarily a follower. They're self-assured. They are embracing and kind. They don't compete with anyone because they are loved by so many, and they really don't have the aspect of wanting to compete, because they really don't see the need to compete with anybody else. Now, this isn't to say that they don't love being the center of attention, because yeah, it happens. Now, what this is saying is they're asking you to be optimistic. They're asking you to be positive. It is time to focus on the good things in life that are coming your way. This is about the fact that taking your time not to jump on things, learning to break that negative habit of listening to that for those of you who write, the little self-editor voice in there going, oh, that sucks. Fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Hate you, editor voice. Hate you. This is telling you that getting that negativity, of that negative aspect of your voice, under control, taming it, putting it under a lock and key, learning to think before you leap on occasion. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to think tons of time and wait it out until it's too late to make a choice. It just means make sure you know the consequences of your actions before you go. Some consequences are awesome, some not so much. She's saying be positive, be grateful that you have chances coming aboard to you. These are awesome chances that you can make happen and go your way if you take your turn, if you put these into the modes they need to be in. Yes, look before you leap, but know that when you do leap, that you are going to have some positive consequences. By putting this on pause and making sure that you are not just running off with the latest thing, you're going to be seeing benefits that you've never expected before. By not listening to your inner voice that likes to denigrate you, you're going to find a better chance of you finding self-love and finding love for yourself outside of yourself. That's going to be a very important thing. And the 7 of fire in potential blockage is all about that we're given signs every day that if heeded can reveal what is to come. It represents a need to watch for those signs and heed the insights that they offer. Observe the people around you. Look closely at patterns of behavior that repeat. Pay attention to words spoken that lack mirroring actions. Take note of promises broken, overreactions to questions, and an inability to meet the eyes, and laughter that seems forced to contrive. They are all indications that there's more going on. Learn to watch. Learn to listen. Heed what your observations and senses are telling you. If you have a tendency to dismiss, do not. Don't ignore them. If your gut tells you something is not what it seems, then look beyond the surface and address it. It cautions you, the 7 of fire does it caution you against being dismissive. It says to pay attention, discern the truth, look and observe, address the contradictions and inconsistencies. Now, it may foretell a future that is not in accordance with your goal. But then again, too, it says that you may see things clearer that can actually resolve issues that weren't there. Because look, there's a snake, not too fond. You have the kitty and the fox. Hello, kitty fox. So, and you have the lotus blossom. So we have the whole aspect here of looking deeper, looking inside, the butterfly, the third eye, looking deeper into where we need to see, what we need to do. Sometimes we think something is, they're being kind of fuddy-duddy, they're not doing something, or they're hiding something, and maybe it's a surprise for us. And what we think is contradictory, or they're hiding something that is for our detriment, is actually for our surprise and pleasure. And they are not able to surprise us now because we're just too crappy of a person, because we don't like surprises. Now, I'm going to say that because I am a person who, all my life, I have had very bad surprises growing up. Now with my ex-fiance, he started teaching me that surprises don't have to be bad. So I'm in that between phase that surprises still suck on a general level, but sometimes surprises can be cool. I like giving surprises. I have no problems giving good surprises to friends and family. I love giving surprises and giving gifts. I have a harder time getting surprises. I have a hard time being thanked for stuff. So for me, this is more of, yeah, stuff can be going to heck and you may notice it. I tend to notice those things anyway on a regular basis. Like my ex-husband cheating. Yeah. Dude, odometer reading. I noticed that stuff. Come on. Sorry. Sometimes it's the simple things that people, it just doesn't dawn on them. So you have this that says, don't dismiss the signs you see, good or bad. This is saying, make sure that you take hold of the positive and celebrate the positive in your life as it comes. And then you have the Queen of Air, which brings all of it together. And the Queen of the Air is awesome because even though she may seem cold and distant at times, she is about being realistic, about planning and organizing. She is about seeing patterns and weaving them, and how they influence your present, how they influence your future. She can see things sometimes without the crudiness of emotions blocking the way. And I say crudiness because sometimes we can be overly emotional about things that we see, that if you were looking without emotion, you'd realize it's not the big deal. It's not as big of a deal as you would think, only because the fact that you're being emotional about it because it pertains to an emotionality that really triggers you, that you can't see it for what it is. And I can say that coming from somebody who, when I get triggered, I literally have to take a step back. Take 2 steps back, actually, and breathe and think and say, is this a now thing? Is this a past thing? Am I being triggered? Because if I'm being triggered, I really, really, really need to stop and think, is this meant to trigger me? Or is this meant because, or am I getting upset because something is not hitting right? And why is it not hitting right? What do I see is not hitting right? What's going on? Sometimes things happen, or we see things that trigger us because they bring back old memories. They bring back old feelings. But you know what? It's time to sometimes step back and say, what's past is past, and we can't let that overlap onto the now, because it has nothing to do with now. All it can let it do is just let it warn you to say, hey, look, this possibility, it could end up being the same thing. However, there's also a good chance it's not. I'm warned, so I'm in a protective stance, but I don't have to close myself off for it. I don't have to be in a negative Nancy mode. Don't have to be super positive Penny, but I could be in a neutral. I could be in a neutral Neum setting, which basically means I can sit there and say, hey, look, what does this actually mean for us? What does it mean for me? Part of this kind of worries me. Part of this kind of makes me feel good. What does it mean to you? And you kind of have to Queen of Air it. Queen of Air means learning to take this all in balance, learning to not go overly one way or the other way, knowing that if you allow yourself to get out of whack too much, interacting, that you need to learn how to be more impartial. Not allow everything to trigger you left, right, and center. Because allowing that to happen is that you're screwing around with your own reality. You're basically are ruining yourself, and you have no one else to blame but yourself. So what you're looking at there is that you're saying to yourself, well, now that I've messed myself up and I've ruined this chance for myself, what do I do? How do I make it better? And that's what the Queen of Air is about. The Queen of Air is about that balance, being impartial, being the person that you need to be, and how to go ahead and bring that forth. And it's important to do that. And I think that for most of us, it's not undoable, but it is possible. So I want to finish this with this last card, which is just a reminder. It is a key thought, a key word, and it is actually thought, believe it or not, to remember. It says, be realistic instead of optimistic or pessimistic. Good and bad sometimes go hand in hand. Don't rush your thinking, be certain. Remember, thought is energy. And when you have energy, if you rush, your energy can go into a negative state or into a positive state, depending on what you're overlooking. Are you mindful? Are your conscious and subconscious and unconscious all working in accord to each other? Don't speculate. unless you have facts, or unless you happen to be having a psychic moment where you are getting a flash of something. Then speculate away. Give it a thought, let it run. But be critical mind. Make sure you think it through. Remember that thought is the foundation of consciousness. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. So, thought creates reality. And it is the second most important part of this deck. First is choice. The second is thought. What you think helps create what you are. Both the sad and the happy. The two masks of theater, comedy and tragedy. Lucid and crazy. Thought is telling you, rational and irrational, you need to really look at things. It's okay to occasionally have leaps of faith. But are your leaps of faith based on things that you've taken in and not realized? Or are you really truly making a leap of faith without knowing what your foundation is? So that's what this reading is for you guys today. Where you stand. And hopefully it helps a lot of you. Like I said, this deck is amazing. It has really blown me away in a lot of ways. I refer to the book a lot. What I've been reading lately, a lot of it is definitely intuitive with what you see on the cards. Really kind of bring stuff to you. So, especially since the deck does but does not relate to RWS, the Rider-Waite Smith decks, nor to the Thoth deck particularly. They're definitely independent on its own in a lot of ways. So, do I suggest this deck? Oh, wholeheartedly, 100%. This is definitely a 7 out of 7 chakras, a 10 out of 10 stars. This is definitely a complete Pleiades moment here. I would recommend this 4 out of 4. Well, actually 5 out of 5 elements. If you take the 4 main elements and you take spirit into consideration. So definitely, I would recommend this to anybody who said, hey, look, I'm thinking about getting this deck. I'm not quite sure. I love the color of the cards. I like some of the card pictures. What do you think about working with it? If you're working for self, if you're working with the concept of trying to better yourself and perhaps help others look deeper into themselves, this would definitely be one of the decks I would highly recommend you use. This would work hand in hand with working with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. I know that personally, this deck has opened my mind to a few things about myself I hadn't realized. So definitely give it a try. Until next time, Bendithian.